Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. We are live. It's been a couple weeks. Just came home from the CrossFit Games earlier this week. It was a jump and a skip from Albany, a nice little 2-hour drive, decompress, take it all in. And now the gram and internet are full of everybody's, hey, Craig, everybody's recaps from the weekend, people decompressing, people going over, what they like, what maybe they didn't like. And it's just, hey, Slater, it's just one of those times where you get over flooded with so much of people just trying to get all of their thoughts onto, a post or in a YouTube video, trying to get all of their thoughts out. So I want y'all to hit me with your questions. I want to hear what people really enjoyed about the games this year, if they watched it or if they went in person. What are some, things that might move the needle forward for next year and years to come? So those are some of the things that we can chat about today. But yeah, it's been we were off for 2 weeks. There was the games, and then I had some family stuff. So now we are back on our regular scheduled programming. But yeah, it's one of those things where I uploaded or I imported all of my interviews and video and stuff that I had from the games this week. And in my mind, I was like, oh, like I want to get everything out before the end of August. But after taking, a couple of days, I'm still like doing some work at home, but I've like shifted gears to switch my mind because I needed a little break from everything creatively. So I've been editing some tactical game stuff or just like shooting content this morning. And then tomorrow I'm going to really start to dive in and go through some of the stuff that I got. But Craig, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I was so grateful at the amount of, not necessarily even the amount of athletes that I could talk with, because for the most part, like if I can see the athletes and have like ask them to do an interview in person, of course, like not necessarily before they take on the event, but afterwards. Typically I can get a couple of sound bites, but I was actually really surprised on how much time the athletes gave me like in between getting off the floor to like walking to cool down, because I would say not last year but the year before it was much more like, hey, we're going to do this quick, like minute to minute and a half interview and then be on their way, which totally respectful because they got to eat, they got to cool down, they got to get ready for the next event. But I just feel like for whatever reason, athletes gave me more of their time this year, which I was super grateful for. And I just keep going back to Yonakoski's interview. Like that was the like most I would say him and I have had like an on-camera interview together, and I was really grateful for that conversation. And Lucy Campbell spent a lot of her time talking, and it just was really awesome to catch up with the athletes and see them in good spirits and have a lot of really cool storylines. Just looking at the leaderboards, and I think what was really cool and interesting about the way that the program was so much like OG style CrossFit and affiliate style CrossFit, it did really give for interesting storylines that you focused in on the athletes, where I think sometimes when not to say that there's not a place for odd objects or unique things at the games, because I think like we could potentially in years to come filter some of that back. I'm not saying all of it, but a little bit of it back. But without that, it wasn't a question of whether an athlete could actually do the skill or lift the weight. So it kind of evened the playing field in an interesting way. And I'm curious, Julian, hey, good to have you here. I'm interested if just what other people thought of it, because I thought it made for almost more interesting storylines because the point spreads were closer, and because there was so much flip-flopping, especially with the men with the leaders jersey. And yeah, it just was overall, I think, an exciting weekend. Bruce, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that kind of stuck around to watch the athlete interviews and get updates that way. But overall, yeah, I think it was fun. Um, I think that there's a little bit of criticism on the time domains for the test. And again, uh, I'm not the person that you lean on when you want to talk about the nitty gritty of the programming and was it a well balanced test and what should we have more of or less of. But I think when you talk about digestibility and watchability, I think sometimes having those, I think other than the event one, I'm trying to think if there was a time cap, and other than the back squat, if there was something with a time cap longer than 15 minutes, because even though the time caps were 15 minutes or less for the majority of the workouts, the final heats didn't necessarily need them. You were seeing 8-minute finishes, 9-minute finishes, things like that. Jason, where can we see your interviews? So right now I have them all on my Instagram, and it's linked with the Talking Elite Fitness Instagram. Some of the athletes did collaborate, which I am always grateful when they do that. And when they don't, I think that's okay too, because sometimes athletes don't want their interview collabed with them, or they have a certain aesthetic that they want on their page, but you can find them all on my Instagram. And then I will be cutting different versions of them to give a more like almost event by event, where I'm using shorter sound bites with them while supplementing a little bit of, voiceover on camera work, and some fans that I interviewed, like Lydia Fish's family, some spouses, some coaches, and other people that will tell a more, um, like a bigger picture of the storyline that will then live on my YouTube page. So for now, Instagram, eventually there'll be kind of different versions on YouTube. And I feel like if people want to go back and listen to things, going to YouTube and searching is a little bit easier, where Instagram, there's no really great way to search for things. You have to just kind of scroll through. That in a perfect world, I almost wish that Instagram was formatted, similar to YouTube, in the sense that you could have your own playlists. Like I know they have um no, it's not even, what is the tab that I'm thinking of? I guess that's like if you want your reels just to show up on the video page, you can do that. But even so, I wish that there was a way to organize categories so that it was easier for people to find things. And then I could separate, when I'm doing CrossFit stuff, when I'm doing tactical game stuff, when I'm doing rugby stuff, or whatever other sport. But that's why I'm really trying to make it a priority to post more to YouTube. So I shot everything in Horizon, and then on Instagram just cut things down to make them look good for y'all. But yeah, I mean, most of what like recap and stuff for the CrossFit Games I spoke about on our Talking Elite Fitness Q&A yesterday, and then we also had our new episode come out. So I don't know, who watched that, who listened to it, but if you do have any questions following up from that conversation, or I'm happy to repeat stuff as well, just let me know in the chat. But I think overall, this definitely was the year that we needed. Um, I liked how, I think Sean yesterday was saying that it almost was really good to go back to not super flashy programming, just stuff that was really relatable for athletes inside affiliates, and just let those storylines be told through the leaderboard and through the things that we do every day in the gym, as opposed to some of the other big moments that I think, again, we'll get back to. I mean, you can never forget about the moment at the Capitol with Rebecca Fuselier. That's, to me, that's one of the most iconic things that we've seen at the CrossFit Games. And I think it would be good to be able to implement, one or two events where we have that. But for this year, I think that we there were a lot of wins from the weekend. Hi, Noelle. Great to see you. It also was great to catch up with people in person. I think, and I put this in a post on Instagram, but it's always so much better to get away from, the chatter online. And while I appreciate people commenting and having conversations and DMing back and forth, I think the human interaction and being able to have in person and real life conversations, to me, that's like, you can't replace that. And it does move the needle in a lot of ways, which is why I think it's so upsetting when you keep going to these fitness events and attendance is low, because we know how much value getting in person is. And of course, there's so many variables that would need to come together in a puzzle to allow that to happen. And a lot of it is finances. A lot of it is, the amount of time people have off to do certain things. And maybe instead of the games, they're going to Rogue, or maybe they're going to SoCal because logistically they live on the West Coast. It's easier, it's cheaper, all of these things. Have you recovered from your Caesar dressing revelation, Noelle? I have not. I have not recovered from it. And last night, I had a salad, and actually I didn't end up eating the salad. I had like steak and other things too. And in my head, I was like, man, I really wish I had Caesar dressing. And then as soon as that thought popped into my mind, I was like, nope, we're done with Caesar dressing. So for anybody who doesn't know, I learned yesterday that the majority of Caesar dressing has either anchovies or anchovy paste. And there's not many foods that I don't eat, but mushrooms, olives, doesn't matter if they're black, green, stuffed, on a martini. I don't mess with uh, olives, but anchovies also makes my short list of foods that I absolutely hate. And when I found out that it was a primary ingredient in Caesar dressing, I almost lost the hashtag the anchovy life. Yeah, I almost lost my shit. It was really unfortunate, but here we are. On to the next. We survived another day. I'm trying to think of people who I met for the first time that maybe, I mean, there were like a decent amount of fans that maybe I've DM'd back and forth that were really great to meet in person. It's always good to catch up with brands in Vendor Village, or I was kind of in the area where they would walk by to go to the Vendor Village if they went outside. So, seeing Greg and the other folks from Concept 2, or seeing the folks from Push Press or Fit Aid, Garmin, LSKD, Rad, like it's always good to see, the similar faces, and Gabe from Paper Street, just so many friendly faces that are in the same environment, and we can all just have one big, almost family reunion in person. Oh, and speaking of Paper Street, did y'all see the Tia Clark Toomey? Let me go to their page. So Gabe, he is the owner of Paper Street, and he had the company make a, yeah, there it is, a casing, a logo essentially that like wraps around their I think it's their nitro brews, or the frost. That's what they call it. Their frost, which is very good, by the way, if you've never had it. And it has an 8 on there. It has Tia, and he had it ready to give to her at the award ceremony, which I think was really cool. He gave me a little preview. I think Saturday, I saw him in line when we were both at a local coffee shop, and he opened his bag. He's like, "You want to see something?" And he showed it to me, and he's like, "Shh." I was like, "Oh my God, that's so great. Like, you have it in the bag. I'm not worried that Tia's not going to, that you're not going to be able to reveal this," but just like another way that I think it's cool, the way that brands activate with their athletes. The special can of nitro, almost got some. Yeah, Noelle, if you've never tried their nitro, that is truly what got me through. Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, it wasn't last year, because last year was very cold at Wadapalooza, Miami. But 2 years ago, when it was like, I think it rained. Yeah, it definitely rained, because I remember them changing the programming one day. But even though it was raining, it was still like hot, humid, sticky, and some of the other days were, not raining and hot and humid. And I kept going over to his booth and getting the nitro brew. So, and speaking of Wadapalooza, I cannot believe, you open up your calendar and it's like, oh yeah, we're still like in the thick of summer. And I'm like, oh my God, we got WFP Tour Stop 2, we got Masters CrossFit Games, and then we have Wadapalooza SoCal, and then we have Rogue. And it's so funny because, just kind of as a question, at the end of the games, typically after the games is the time that athletes will take maybe not a full month off, but a couple weeks. And it's the end of wedding season, so sometimes they'll have friends to go hang out with at weddings, or what have you. And now just because of the format and because so many athletes are dipping into WFP and the CrossFit Games, it's like, oh, we don't have a break. Like we gotta like maybe take a couple of days, maybe have like some fun cheat meals, but then it's back to the grind and hit the ground running. And even at the end of the weekend, I feel like I didn't see Castro until, I mean, I saw him running around all weekend, like inside the venue, but from a distance. I didn't get to see him like close up and have an in-person conversation until the last day. And, I see him, like, hey, like, great weekend, whatever. We're having some small talk. And I was like, and this was a little bit of like tongue in cheek, like, hey, I have a vacation coming up. Like, you gonna decompress it all? And he said, kind of with the stone cold face, he's like, CrossFit is for sale. Like, there's no break right now. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, it was just such a automated response that I ask people, what are they doing to decompress after the games? Um, guys, why do we keep coming back to the open? It is wild to me that is the question. Will you do the open in 2026? I don't know. Probably. Suck on. Like, can I have a moment to decompress after the CrossFit Games? Like, I don't know, man. I would like to know. I would like to know. And I haven't. I do have people that I need to reach out to maybe get this answer, and maybe other people have the answer and have had these conversations. But when you look at where the open times up for Wadapalooza Miami, if everybody can get on the same page, how iconic would it be if the last week of the open and the open announcement is from Wadapalooza Miami? Like, how perfect would that be? Logistically, I don't know if that makes it, I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you already have a broadcast team there, so you don't need to like hire more people or essentially even like pay more because they're already doing the day of competition. So you already have that for like a live stream. I guess unless like CrossFit wanted to have it on their channel versus Wadapalooza's channel, but I feel like that's a small thing versus like a small potentially logistic thing versus all of the other like logistical benefits. But then I was thinking, oh, if I'm working at Wadapalooza Miami, obviously I'm not doing any of the divisions, but would I be able to jump into maybe like a community heat, have a judge there, watch it so they can Open and Waza are the same weekend. Yeah, so Wadapalooza Miami is the last week of the Open. Something is happening at Waza. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I heard rumblings. Yeah, Grant or keeping it real. And that's kind of what I assumed, especially like Dylan Malitsky, he runs Wadapalooza with Loudon Live. He something to do with the game season. Yeah, and I think that would be a huge win, like win-win, because like Wadapalooza is the fitness festival that everybody I think wants to go to, right? Like it just has a very different vibe than all of the other competitions. And I'll put a little asterisk in it because now you do have SoCal, so they have similar vibes, but still Wadapalooza Miami, is this going to be I think the 14th year, if I'm not mistaken? Either 13th or 14th, something like that. So I think if they could find a way to leverage each other and do something like that, it would be phenomenal for so many reasons. And that would be a huge win. Obviously, we know like a lot still needs to happen, and a lot of that is contingent on the sale of CrossFit. Not to say that like whoever buys CrossFit, everything's going to change. It could, but I don't necessarily think that whatever group ultimately gets CrossFit, I don't think that it's just going to be like, okay, we're changing everything, we're firing everyone, like we're going to start a clean slate. I think that that absolutely will not happen. I've been surprised before, but I think for the most part, planning something like the Open in collaboration with Wadapalooza, I think that is something that they could potentially be working on right now. And like Keeping It Real said, he's heard some rumblings, and yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. And I think that would be and that would be another thing in the bucket of like wins to get the community back together, give people that buy-in, and even just like the magic. We talk about the magic every year of the Open, and I think just because of what happened in the games in 2024, it just kind of put the shadow over the season and the brand, and I think it tore a divide in the community, and I don't think that was wrong, and I think, everybody has ways to digest and, uh, like, take in their feelings and figure out, like, how they wanna move forward. I think that there's always still work to be done, right? Like, nothing is perfect. Um, but I think that there have been a handful of wins to move in the right direction, and just seeing something like that, because I don't think that they added the open season on the calendar and had no idea that Wadapalooza was also happening at that time, right? It's not it's an event that happens every single year. Yes, they changed their their weekend because normally it was the long weekend of Martin Luther King weekend historically, but um, didn't they do some similar at the previous open announcement? I remember seeing Miami open announcement, oops, before my time. When did you Grant, when did you start CrossFit? Maybe that was before my time too. When is Sagan, when is the sale happening? Nobody knows. I mean, I know of at least like 4, maybe 5 groups that are still at the table. I think that everybody wanted it to be announced at the CrossFit Games and, be able to meet the new owner or, have an opportunity to talk or, everybody wants to just know at this point because there is a lot of anxiety, and like I don't blame anybody for having anxiety, whether you are part of the community, an athlete, a coach, a manager, a fan, media, um people that work at CrossFit HQ. Like I can't even imagine the anxiety because with a new owner means that people could be laid off, and having this much time to have that gut feeling of unease and anxiety must be terrible. Like nobody wants to feel that way. 2020 or 21. Now that you say that, it's maybe, maybe. I'm not great at remembering those things. Like that's where I need to rely on Tommy's brain. Hold on, I want to go back. Are you still dating that dude? Sagan? Yes. Yes, I am. We hung out yesterday. He's honestly phenomenal. He cooked steaks. Well, I put the steaks on the grill, but he did like some fancy things to them and, brought a bunch of stuff from his parents' farm, and it was lovely. And he's a super stand-up guy. Like honestly, I've been skeptical this whole time, which I've talked about on here, because just from my past, everybody who has like shown me who they say they are, they've always then like let me down in a lot of ways. Like everybody wants to put on a good front, like in the early stages of dating and things like that. And so far, he says he does what he says he's going to do. And if like I wouldn't even say like a disagreement, but if there's like something that we're not like in line with, whether it's a communication thing or otherwise, he very much like wants to like do better or like make sure that our expectations are the same. So yeah, we are still dating and it's great. Okay. Now I'm scrolling. Barry Frazier did an open announcement in Miami. See, I knew somebody in the chat would know. Talking about the Frazier versus Tia announcement. Yeah. Who's at the table? I'm not going to talk about that because it's not it's not my place to speak. And again, I think that a good amount of people in the ecosystem, especially the media ecosystem, just talking like off the record to a couple of the other media outlets, like kind of like comparing notes without anybody like fully showing their cards, because again, you want to respect like your sources and the people that you speak with. But I do think that there are a couple of like good groups that that people would be happy, satisfied, excited if they took this thing over. They did the Fran like workout that add extra reps to it. Man, it's been a minute since I did Fran. I kind of want to do it again. I'm trying to think. When people talk about the amount of times they do Fran, I feel like I'm in the low ball category. I think I've only done it twice. The first time I ever did it, it was when I was still at CrossFit Green Bay. That was I say it's my first ever affiliate. Mohawk Valley Wellness was my first affiliate, but that was one that I dropped into with my dad. It's like my hometown in Utica. And then, like, I went to a couple classes and then, of course, made the same excuse that a lot of people make, and, I went back to college. I was like, "This is too expensive. I can't afford this." Then when I moved to Illinois for a TV job, and then from there, I was getting a little hefty, I was going out, I was boozing, I was eating a lot of pizza and not sleeping. Then I finally looked in the mirror and I was like, "I gotta do something." And my dad, like, showed up on the beach with a six-pack, not of beer, of, like, abs, and he was in, like, his 50s at the time, and I'm like, "Why does my dad look better than me when he's in his 50s and I'm in my 20s? Like, this is supposed to be my prime." And he was doing CrossFit, so that's when I then, went to CrossFit Green Bay. But that was the first time that I did Fran, did it totally scaled, and then I can't remember if I did Fran at Mohawk Valley Wellness, like, when I was dropping in, coming home, or if I've done it at the, CrossFit affiliate in Syracuse that I go to. Could you compete tactical games with iron sights on your pistol? Yes, you absolutely could, but you are at a disadvantage. So I will say that. Having a red dot, I mean, it's not cheating, obviously, because it's in the rule book and everybody does it. But like when you think of it, like if you go from iron sights to a red dot, it feels like cheating. It's almost like if CrossFitters are doing Fran with grips versus without grips. The competitive advantage that you have is just like through the roof. So you can, and if that's all you have right now and you don't have a red dot, I think absolutely do it. And you also will be able to learn a lot from people. And if you're on the fence of like, you don't know what kind of red dot you want, if you go to a tactical games event, like you'll be there for 5 minutes and you'll get recommendations from like 20 different people. Um, but Bruce, what event do you think you're gonna go to? Let me know. Um, I feel like there's a tactical games regional event in Ohio in a couple weeks. I'm pretty sure that's like the next in-person event. I feel like this next month is the most time I've spent at home in almost probably since like November. I do have a family vacation in the Outer Banks at the end of the month. Very excited for that, but I'm bummed. So I'm pretty sure CrossFit Outer Banks, I'm pretty sure it closed. It was never like yeah, permanently closed, which it was interesting when I spoke to the affiliate owner last year, or maybe it wasn't the affiliate owner, maybe it was just a coach. She said that the majority of their membership was just drop-ins. Um, so I can imagine that like in the off season, that's a business model that probably was difficult to sustain. So I'm bummed that that is closed a couple of times because like CrossFit Outer Banks was probably like 30 to 40 minutes from where my family stays when we go on vacation. So sometimes, if I would wake up a little bit later, I'd be like, I'm not going to drive all that way. Maybe I'll just do, um, a bodybuilding day at whatever gym I can find. And there was this little kind of like hole in the wall gym that, you got all of the rusty dumbbells, you got all the mirrors or whatever. I went there one day and I was just like, "Oh man, it just is such a different vibe, especially if you're used to going into CrossFit affiliates because I don't know about you guys, but one of the things I love about dropping into like new or random CrossFit affiliates is you go in, like, where are people from? Like, whether you drop into a class or even like open gym, because if I'm following my own programming, you just get to chat with people and like the vibes are different. Where if you just go to one of these like grunt style gyms, it's like, okay, nobody talks. It's so quiet. Like you have to share things, which not to say that I'm bad at sharing, but it's such a different environment. And I would always prefer a CrossFit gym. But speaking to that, I my family, we all like drive to the Outer Banks. It's like 12 or 13 hours, depending on speed and traffic. But I definitely think that I'm gonna like pack up my barbell. I think I'll bring some dumbbells, sandbags, and try to do a couple of early morning, sweaty, humid, uh, outside workouts. I think our place, yeah, definitely has a pool. So maybe I'll even like put the dumbbells and sandbags like on the side of the pool and do a lap. I'm such a poor swimmer. I was a lifeguard, growing up. But when I say that, I say it very loosely. Like basically anybody that took this course that we did, if you paid, which like is actually really concerning when I say it out loud now, they basically pass you or whatever. I was a lifeguard at just local country clubs. So I think the one time that there was a kid that fell off their noodle, I didn't need to like swim to them. You literally just like walk to the side of the edge, you jump in, you pick them up. So a little bit different, but swimming is hard. I don't know if people in this chat do it regularly, but dang, like lungs of steel for people who swim regularly and are good at it, and just kudos to those people. But I'm trying to think of like what other dates of events have officially been announced. I feel like Wadapalooza announced. I think they also have a High Rocks that weekend, because somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misremembering, but I think that the county gave maybe additional funding to Wadapalooza and High Rocks because they were the same weekend or something like that. I know that there was an article, but I remember like when it came out, I feel like it was I didn't read the whole article. There was a lot going on, um but yeah, having like a High Rocks the same weekend, I think like that's cool to have multiple things going on. But I was thinking about doing a High Rocks, which is wild because I hate running and I actually hate all all of the movements in High Rocks. But me and my friend Kelly, we were just like, like, we like to test ourselves in fitness. We probably wouldn't train any different than we do like for CrossFit, or if I'm training for tactical games, we would just like throw our hat in the ring and like, hey, we're just gonna like here for a good time and we'll shoot like some fun content. And to make a long story short, it sold out in like 4 hours. I could not believe it because it was the one in Dallas and it's like the week after Tactical Games Nationals. So I'm already going to be in Texas. I was like, okay, like this is super easy. I'm just going to like stay with Nick and Amanda a couple extra days, then drive from Georgetown, a suburb of Austin, to Dallas, go to the High Rocks. We couldn't get in. And then Kelly and I, before we came back to my house in Syracuse on Monday, we're like, okay, we haven't worked out since, I normally rest day Thursday. So Wednesday. So, I mean, plenty of days to take off. And I'm like, hey, let's go drop into a CrossFit gym in Albany. Originally, we were going to do CrossFit Avitas, which was the CrossFit gym that I highlighted during the open in like the Albany area. By the time we woke up, there were no more classes. So I was like, oh, let's do CrossFit Spur. And I kept thinking of it. And I'm like, this gym sounds so familiar. And I'm looking at the logo and I was like, maybe I just recognize it because I live like in the area, upstate New York. That's where they had the open announcement. That's why I recognize it. And we walk in and I was like, oh, this looks familiar. Have I been here before? No, it's from watching the live stream. So we went in, we dropped into that. And in the car ride, I was like, okay, we're just going to like go. We're going to sweat. We're going to have a good time. If they program running though, like I'm telling you right now, I don't have that in me. I'm just getting my tush on the C2 bike and we're going to chill. What do they have programmed? There's running. It was only 200 meters though. So I did it. I wasn't the wimpy wimp who was sitting her tush on the C2 bike. But I'm telling you, I was basically crawling on the run. You can't even call it what I was doing a run. Luckily, they had strict handstand push-ups and hang squat clean. So 2 movements that I would consider in my wheelhouse. And then the running was just like, oh my God, why am I so bad at this right now? Noelle, hate running. Yeah, apparently there's going to be a High Rocks in Phoenix early next year, and I'm actually considering it with a friend. Yeah, High Rocks, that's something that I would never never say never. I probably would never do it as an individual. That's just, again, it's the same if somebody was like, hey, do you want to do a marathon? No, I have no interest in that type of training. Same with the type of training that I would need to do an individual High Rocks. But I think it can be fun with friends. It totally can be fun with friends. I mean, even same with tactical games. Like, eventually I will do an individual tactical games event. Like, that is something that, because of my training that I do with CrossFit, I have a lot of interest in. Um, but doing it with a teammate, or it ended up being 2 different teammates, that was definitely a better way to dip my dip my toe into the water and give it my best effort. For a while, I also wanted, and I might still do, an Olympic weightlifting meet. That's been something that kind of, like, circulates in my head of something I would like to do. Also, like, a powerlifting meet I think would be fun. But the powerlifting meet would be fun because of the back squat. I do not like deadlift. Bench press is fun. And then the only reason why I haven't done either of them, I mean, powerlifting, they get kinda hyped and yell and scream, but the silence when you take the stage for an Olympic weightlifting meet, I feel like I I feel like I would, this is a terrible mindset, but I feel like my hands would get so sweaty that I would just fail and fail, and I would see the crowd sitting in silence. I'm somebody that totally PRs when it's loud, or you got, like, crazy music, or people are yelling at you, so the thought of trying to, like, snatch or clean and jerk in silence is really, "Oh, Jan, welcome. Could I coach you to the powerlifting meet?" Do you coach powerlifters? Did I not know that about you? If that's true, I mean, we could also have, like, some really fun content with it, Jan. And you coaching me, oh, what a treat. What a treat. It could be a good time. But yeah, hey, I'm ready to dabble. My Okay, I'm gonna tell you my numbers and we'll see where we can get. So my lifetime back squat PR is 290. My goal is 300, obviously. Bench press, I just hit a PR 175. Okay, yes, you are. Great. And then what's the other one? What can I think? Oh, and deadlift 325. 325 or 330. Jake and I both do. Oh man. Oh man. Okay, we're just gonna have a power team coaching. My God, people, my neighbors are like screaming at each other outside right now, and I can hear it. Okay. Anyways, that could be a lot of fun. I have done smelling salts once. I did those at, what was it, SoCal? I just remember D being on the stage. Diana, she was on the stage. Her and I were doing the podcast stage. We were doing a segment together, and I did the smelling salts with her just for the content, for the good times and that stuff. Like, oh my God, wild. The only sport in the world that uses pounds is CrossFit. Time to use kilograms. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can do that. My gym only has pounds though. But I honestly think, so when I went to CrossFit Green Bay, they had a barbell club, and in the back they had like all their blocks and their platforms, and they did, and this makes a lot of sense because there was like a community of people who would compete in specifically Olympic weightlifting, so they would have a lot of plates that were in kilos, and then they had like a little chart back there for people like me who, don't know what they're lifting with those. But there was something about it of lifting blind, and if I have 245s on the bar, I know that that's 125. I don't need to do the math. If I have 45s on the bar and 25s on the bar, I know that that's 175. Don't need to do the math. You know what I mean? Like, you just start to recognize things from doing it for so long, that I think like maybe training in kilos, or like training in pounds, but then like when I'm going for a heavy lift, training in kilos to be blind, that might be the sweet spot to not get in my head, because I'm a fucking head case. Like, I'm telling you, my mental game is weak. It's so weak, and I don't know why. I start to get crippling anxiety when I get, close to that PR or try to go for a new one. 160 kilos is 352, Jake. Leave that gym. Oh my God. None of the gyms here have kilos. Do I just have to like start a separate savings account so I can have my own plates? Ooh, there is something about competition plates too. Plus, it sounds less. It sounds, oh, I see what you're saying. The weight sounds less, yeah. But I do love the sound. Like, there's something so therapeutic about the sound when you have those nice competition plates on a barbell and, like, the hit of the hip crease. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Like, I can't mimic it with, a sound effect that I can make, but it's so nice. 160 sounds lighter than 352. Yeah, sounds a lot lighter. Uh, 2.205. Yeah, I always say it's double plus a little bit. A little more than double for all of our kilo friends out there. Comp plates. Oh, they're so good. They're so good. The clanking. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. It Like, truly, it can put I can be in a bad mood, and then you just hear a little bit of clanking, and I'm like, "Ooh, that sounded like a good lift." I don't know if it was, but it sounded like a good one. It's just like, mm. And maybe in Olympic weightlifting, that is why they're silent, because everybody, it builds the community. Everybody can agree that the clanking is a great sound. Who knows? But, okay, I need both of you, if you're gonna be my powerlifting coaches, this, like, super team of coaches, y'all need to bring the hype. Y'all need to bring the hype, and honestly, I'm happy to travel to y'all to do the powerlifting meet. We could make this, like, a whole little, like, excursion. You find the place that I need to throw down, and let's get that training started. Honestly, I'm kinda bought in already. I think that this could be a new fun venture. Hmm. I thought I'd do an Olympic weightlifting meet before powerlifting, but screw it. I'm ready to dabble. And that's the thing. Like, right now, I have nothing on my calendar to compete in. And I hate that because it's like, okay, yeah, like I'm fitnessing for life. I want to get stronger. I want to, maintain a certain aesthetic and certain capacity. But having something on the schedule that you're training for, I think is more exciting. Um, so they made the noise. Lee Priest used to leave a gap between each plate, so they made the noise while he squatted. Huh. I like that. That's a fun fact. Coming to Rogue. Currently working on it. My plan, I couldn't go to Rogue last year because it was the same weekend as Desert City. Um and I said, "Okay, I 100% need to go. I just need to work out the logistics." But I would say, cuz Rogue, that's Halloween weekend. Hold on. Yes, Halloween weekend. I would say, so we got a bit of time. I would say I'm like 90 to 95% sure that I'll be at Rogue. Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. You know that you're in the UK, right? Yeah. What do you mean? Where do you think that I thought you were? That's why I said I will come to you guys. We'll make it happen. Like, I'm willing to travel abroad to do the powerlifting meet. If you come to Rogue, we will sort you out. Okay. Let's start talking offline and figure out how we can, like, make this all happen, because I think that this could be a really fun thing that we do, whether it's like the lead up to Rogue, like, look at our super team competing at a powerlifting meet, or hey, we just watched all of these strong men and women in the strongman division at Rogue. Now we're gonna see how weak Lauren is, but give everybody a good idea of what, like, your average weightlifter looks like. I didn't know if you travel that far. Oh yeah, I will. I just haven't recently. I feel like this year I'm gonna end up traveling the most abroad. It's just in a very condensed time. Like, for tactical games, I'll be going to Poland. There's potential that from Poland, I'm going to Saudi Arabia for an event. I'm trying to figure out if it's happening or not. And then I want to go to Rogue. Like I said, 90 to 95% sure on that. And then I also am going to make efforts to go to the World Fitness Project finals in Copenhagen the week before Christmas. It's around my birthday. I can't think of a better place to spend my birthday with all of the Christmas lights, the decorations, the vibes. Like, but I've waited to start, like, looking into the planning and stuff. Because at this point, I used to be the type of person that if I didn't have my calendar like scheduled and organized on January 1st, I need to have everything in there. And then it was like, well, I'm just not going to do anything because I don't want to wait last minute. But now it's like, I'll book a flight somewhere, within a month before I have to go there. When is Poland? Oh, I feel like it's too soon. So the tactical games event in Poland is, I start working on September 26th, that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right now, I have in my calendar blocked off, though, the 24th through the 1st, because I do want to take some time on the front and back end to do some traveling and some exploring there. I'm in Poland in October for High Rocks. Okay, we'll just miss each other. When is that High Rocks? Are you doing individual or are you doing doubles? Oh my gosh. My dog Miko, most dogs, they chase their tail. She chases her foot. Does anybody else's dog do that? They get their little foot in the mouth and then she like hobbles in a circle. Dear Lord. Lauren, the following week is Coaches Congress London, the 4th to the 5th. Okay. Okay. Okay, so right now there's potential that like the event I'm working in Saudi Arabia is that weekend. And that's also why I haven't booked my trip to Poland, because I'm not going to go from Poland back home and then go all the way like out to Saudi Arabia. That would make zero sense and be a nightmare logistically. But if I don't work that event, then yeah, okay, I'll come to Coaches Congress in London. Amazing. Wow. Look at all this time that we're going to just spend together. So we're going to get some good training in person. We're going to, we're going to shoot content obviously and have a good time with that. We do actually have a ticket to give away for Coaches Congress. That's no lie. Okay. If you can save it for a couple of weeks until I get clearance, I emailed this organization to see if I was doing this event maybe a day or two ago. And I told them that like I needed an answer within the next week or two. So if y'all can just like hold that ticket for the next 2 weeks and then I'll let you know. The Saudis can wait. Tell them the lads need you instead. The lads need me because like the possibilities are endless. We just have so much fun. Have you guys been to Coaches Congress before? Presley went last year and she had so much fun. She went through HWPO. Oh, you guys do pro doubles end of October. Good for you guys. That means Biz includes a ticket to the rugby. Oh man, we're gonna have so much fun. Oh my god. Look at this. Look at us making plans abroad. That's really the purpose of this show, guys. It's to have these connections and to make fun plans in real life and shoot the shit. Just doing the thing. Okay, I'm actually really excited now because this could be a lot of fun. Never. Jake just had Henrik on. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, a couple first timers. Congress is going to be awesome. Yeah. Like I said, I've heard a lot of great things about it. Oh, we have Facundo coming on to chat about it soon. Yeah. Yeah. Facundo's great. He like every time I see Facundo, he's just the type of person that you're like, I just want to smile and give you a hug. Like such a good dude. But I was sad that you two were not at the games. That was a bummer. But it's okay. I understand. We're going to make up for it at the last half of the year here. Going to get together, have some fun, do all the fitness, and then talk about it on these shows. Okay. We are just approaching 6:20. I know for Jake and Jan, it's getting late. What time is it for you guys? I forget if you're 5 or 6 hours ahead because I feel like it always is dependent on daylight saving time. So it's like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is it 11 or 12? Is late for you. Maybe next year. We're small time. No, you're not. No, you're not. Y'all aren't small time. Only small time if you think small time. We don't think small time here. But yeah, we are going to get wrapped up. Like I said, we now should have mostly normal programming, at least for the next 2 weeks. On the third week, so that 28th, I am on a family vacation. Maybe we'll do a fun little full family show from the house while we're playing an intense game of Uno. Maybe live with Laur. Let's take down the family in Uno. Maybe that's what the show will be. It'll be a great. Oh, you guys use the military time. I know it's not military time for everybody, but yeah, 23:20. Okay, so 11:20. Right? I think. It's not the size of the time, it's how you use it. On that note, great to be back, y'all. Again, if you ever have any questions, maybe you're not watching the show live and you're going to play it back, feel free to shoot me a DM with the question. Would love to answer it on the show. Good to be back. Good to have the community here and see y'all and chat with you for another Thursday Live with Laur.